Welcome, everyone. My name's Austin, and I want to welcome you to Flashpoint TV. We have an incredible health turnaround story for you today. But first, I want you to check in with yourself. It's Friday. You made it. It's February the 4th. I'm excited to have you here with me today. I want you to settle in. As we often do for this show, you're here to get something. You might be here to give something. So if you're in the chat and you are on YouTube or you're on Facebook, check in. Let us know you're here and let's settle in for an incredible show. Now, we're going to kick off this show like we normally do. We highlight this very moment with the hourglass as we remind ourselves that what's done is done. We can't go back and change it. It's done. We can reflect and learn, but it's done. It's sand that's dropped through. We can't go too far here and overburden our minds with things that haven't happened yet. We can certainly create our vision and get excited, but ultimately we will end up right here in this very moment as we are today and as you are with us today. So let's settle in to this very moment as we watch the sand trickle through, and let's be inspired today. The next thing that we do is we highlight the Thomas Edison light bulb. And I'm fortunate to live less than 2 hours from where the light bulb, the final version that Edison landed on, was invented. And as the quote goes, you know the quote, I did not fail 10,000 times. I've successfully created 10,000 ways in which the light bulb could not be invented. But here it is. This is a replica. I purchased this on site at that very location in Menlo Park. And there it is. And let this light serve as a reminder for us in our lives. Whatever doesn't seem to be working out right now, there's always a way if we stay committed. So let's keep that light bulb handy. We'll use that to highlight some moments. And then we have the cowbell, because you can never have too much cowbell. And we want to highlight the great moments throughout the show. So I'm excited for this next guest, because this next guest is in our upcoming book, which I'm going to share with you right now. We are highlighting health turnaround stories. And I had the pleasure to meet this gentleman through our mutual distribution network, which is E360. And this particular gentleman has an incredible history in radio. And you're going to hear he has 6 million downloads, 6 million downloads. So he has an incredible career in broadcasting. He has an incredible heart to serve, which you're going to hear about this story that happened to him. And so rather than me continue to meander on here, I'm going to bring Mr. Jim Grant on once I get a thumbs up from him. So Jim is ready. Jim, I want to welcome you to Flashpoint. Your turnaround story starts here. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing so good today. It's just happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
Hey, I'm honored. I feel like the new kid on the block. You got, how many years do you have in radio and broadcasting? I want to give people a perspective.
Oh, goodness. When we started originally on the radio, we were out on satellite radio.
Really?
Yeah. And then we migrated over to TogiNet, and that was in 2005. And then when I walked away in 2014, we were getting about 2 million, 2.5 million downloads per month. And of course, that was 5 shows a week, which is pretty heavy duty. And now I do 1 show a week on Friday. I started that in early 2019, around January, February of 2019. And we've got over 6 million downloads on the radio show. And of course, the way our TV show came about, it was a total accident. I tripped and fell into it accidentally. I really did, because what happened, the pandemic had hit. And we had to put on some shows about messages of inspiration and hope, which was suggested by Mr. Bill Heinrich. And we went big time right out of the gate. We had Zoom and Facebook Live. But because of the energy that show created, because always remember, it's the messenger that just delivers a great message because people tune in for the message. That's the
Yes.
messenger's responsibility.
Yes.
That got us invited to join the E360 TV family. And because I'm not smart enough to figure that one out on my own, I can guarantee you that one.
Well, you're doing incredible. And you have your radio show. And then how often are you, like, what's your broadcast? Because you have another show. We might as well highlight that right now. What's your-
Message of inspirational stories on E360 TV. We do that days at 4 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. I'm just a workaholic. I enjoy working at age 73. It keeps me young.
you're
Either that or it keeps me out of trouble.
Yeah, well, you're looking great. So what I want to do, Jim, I appreciate you sharing that. You're doing a great job with your show, and I want to encourage everybody to tune in. Maybe we can grab that link here before this show is over. But I want to dive into another story, Jim, because your
Okay.
life dramatically changed about 4 or 5 months ago.
It changed Halloween night, October the 29th. And, the thing that really smacked me in the face was that, ladies and gentlemen, imagine how you would feel if you went decade after decade after decade and have no health problems. You go in for lab tests, you know how that's going to turn out. And you get inspired. And, the doctor says, hey, you're looking great. You may be, like one time when I was 55, he said, you may be 55 on, physically, but on the inside, you're about 40. And that was the common thing that I heard. Then on that Friday night, I started having chest pains and had pains in my arms from my elbows down. I'm going like, that's not good. And the reason I point that out, as soon as I realized that something was wrong, I didn't know if it was heart related or not, but I got to the hospital. I said, I'm going to get this checked out. Something's going on, and I don't live in fear. The time I got to the hospital, the ER on that Friday night, my blood pressure was 190 over 111. So I was very, very fortunate to, respond and take action for myself. And that's critical. And as a result, I had a mild heart attack, and then I stayed in the hospital the whole weekend because obviously with that kind of blood pressure, they can't turn you loose on the street. And I was going to have stents put in. So I went in for the procedure on Monday morning for the stents. And that's when they found out that, hey, you got some serious problems. You got the widowmaker. You got blockages all over the place. You need open heart surgery.
Wow.
You need 4 bypasses. You need it today.
Wow.
And if I may share what I just did, I just kind of like, wow, it kind of hit me, because I was in an outpatient mode of mind, after being in the hospital all weekend, I'm going to get rid of both IVs and go home, And I said, well, it's in your hands, Lord. I says, if things go well, I go home. If things don't go well, I go home. And I tell people the peace and the calmness and the love and the safety that just came over me, I felt like I was just encapsulated in peace and calmness and love. And immediately I knew the surgery would go well. I knew the recovery would go well. And I tell people, in your hour of need, I sincerely hope that your faith will give you the same peace and comfort that I experienced in my hour of need, because it's a beautiful feeling. Go ahead, sir.
I want to, first of all, I want to hit, you just really shared the story, and I want to hit on the fact that prior to this, you mentioned your blood pressure, and I really want to mention the fact that your numbers, your health checkups, your doctors, all the things that you did in your good health to get those checkups, you were told that you're in great health.
Oh, yeah.
There's no issue, right?
Yeah, there was nothing there because my blood pressure normally is 120 something over 68 to 78. My bad cholesterol was at 76. And even in the hospital with those 67 tests they did on me, I got a list email from each one. My bad cholesterol was only 96. So there was no markers there to say, hey, you got a problem. But Dr. George Grant, that little AO scanner, I got to tell you about that. That thing did red flag my heart. And where I made my mistake, I'm thinking, okay, well, I've changed some things in my life. I'm taking good vitamins. I didn't get in this condition overnight, and I'm not going to get out of it overnight. So I'm just going to migrate along. Well, see, that safety net that I thought I had of blood pressure being good, cholesterol being low, when I fell on that Friday night, ladies and gentlemen, I found out my safety net had a hole in it. And that's the wrong time to find that out. Trust me on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking like and most of all, you're feeling okay up until this Friday night. So all your
Oh, yeah.
numbers check out, doctors
Yeah.
telling you you're healthy, and all of a sudden this Friday night it was Halloween, right?
Mhm.
Halloween, all of a sudden it's not okay, and that's when you go into the hospital, and you just shared that story.
Yeah.
Jim, do you remember experiencing any fear, or were you just like doubtful? Like what was happening like while you're going through this? Like what's going on mentally, emotionally?
Mm.
You're probably thinking, well, all my health checks out. What could this be? Right?
I don't take things like that seriously because I even joked with them there in the ER because they said they got to transport me from Brenham to Bryan College Station by ambulance. And we're waiting and we're waiting. And I says, hey, it's no problem. I says, if you like, I can have my wife come over here, pick me up in the truck. We can take this tree and stick it through the window and I'll wave by. We're gone. And it's no. We got to have you hooked up, I mean, they were taking it very, very seriously. And I thought, well, whatever it is, I'm going to face it. And that's the way I viewed life because I survived Vietnam. Like I tell people, I survived Vietnam 69, 70. I survived Agent Orange, and there
Wow.
were two incidences where I should not have come back, but I was called back for a different mission and did not go there. So I cannot take life seriously because I realize every day is a gift. I got to tell people, when you wake up in the morning, you got heartbeat in your veins, you got breath in your lungs, give thanks. Because that's something that money can't buy.
Bell moment right there. I mean, and to having gone through the experience that you went through, because what I'm hearing is, and my dad was in Vietnam, so
Right.
So, Jim, to look at you and and the way you live, like I honor my wasn't so fortunate the way because of what he and it impacted his life. And so I have some sense of what that's like.
Mm-hmm.
And then to go through this experience, because I feel like everything that you lived and the way you've decided to live your life with your faith set you up to handle this situation the way you did. Because I really want to dive into this, like this, when you find out you're going to need a quadruple bypass, that this calm comes over you.
Yes.
Like that's hard to wrap my head around. And,
Yeah.
and I really want to peel that back a little bit for people to how that could come out. How could that, and then you mentioned the faith. So I'd really like to highlight that if you're up for it.
Sure. Yeah. Like I tell people that 25 years ago, if I'd been in that same situation, it would have been a prayer or petition. I'd have been asking for this, begging for that. I'd probably sound like a beggar at a rich man's gate. But over the years, I've got a satisfied mind, and I got assurance in my mind of what my faith is. And when I was told that, I just simply said, "Well, it's in your hands," like I said. But immediately, I just felt this calm and peace come over me, and I've never felt anything like that before in my life. But ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you this.
Wow.
If I feel that for an eternity, it will never, ever, ever, as in never, 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 ever get old. I promise you that. That's how sweet of a feeling it is.
Wow. I feel like your faith just became embodied in that moment. Like
Yeah.
everything that, all the things we think and, the things when we seek faith, we seek God. If we're Christians, we seek the Lord. And then here you are, and then it's just embodied and you just feel this incredible peace. Your life is really, your life is in the balance here. And you feel this incredible peace over top of you. And now, Jim, you have this experience to impart to others to share that.
Yes. Yeah, because when you're told you got the widowmaker in your heart, just a couple of weeks ago, I had a friend of mine who was in good health and no problems or anything like that, and just gone like that. And they think it was the widowmaker because that thing that can really, if you have a heart attack, if you Google it, If you're outside of a hospital, you got a 12% survival rate. So for me to go in and just have a mild heart attack because I responded quickly and they got the nitrogen in me and also the aspirins and stuff, that was the reason why it opened up everything and the heart attack dissipated. And that's important too, because if you could easily see if I waited until the morning, time was not my friend because
No.
I was going downhill.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't responded, ladies and gentlemen, this is very, very important, very, very critical when it comes to your heart. I could have suffered muscle damage as a result. So then I'd have to have the bypasses to fix the problem. And now I got to deal with the muscle damage. And fortunately for me, because my response was quick and I was blessed in all areas, the ultrasound they did on my heart, the doctor says, man, your heart's in great shape. You know, he said, the muscles are great. So therefore, I was doubly blessed because I don't have to deal with heart muscle damage now. So that's why you, as I say, get it up, get it in gear and get over there, you know, because it's
right. Don't hesitate. Don't
Yeah.
hesitate. Yeah. I want to pause for a minute and just honor our audience for being here today. I asked
okay.
you to honor Jim sharing his story about his heart. I want to get more understanding around Widowmaker because we'll do that. But let's just say hello to everyone. And Mandy's saying you paid attention. You know, you paid attention to what was going on.
Yes.
You just highlighted that. And Jenna's saying thank you for your service. You were in the Army, I believe, right, Jim?
Yes. 31 years.
31 years in the Army. So you're a lifer. So you have all that experience. And yeah, this is faith. That is faith in action for sure. You know, absolutely, absolutely. And for those of you that are out there listening on the TV, we're glad you're here as well to share the story. You can certainly look up Jim Grant, Google Jim Grant, and the name of your show, Jim?
Messages of Inspirational Stories. We're on E360 TV.
Yep, we're on E360 TV, Messages of Inspirational Stories. Mr. Jim Grant is on there as well. This story is going to be in our upcoming book called Your Health Turnaround Story. We're highlighting stories that like this, where in your case, the medical community had no idea with all the testing and all the modern medicine, no idea how all this could have happened. No idea. So Jim, I want to dive into this Widowmaker. Why wasn't this detected? How could this modern medicine have you in, you get your checkups. Hey, it's all great. Blood pressure's great. Everything's great. Meanwhile, and I'd like you to speak more about this Widowmaker. You got this heart condition that's laying beneath the surface that could literally have ended your life.
Yeah. Well, first of all, when I was in the hospital, I asked a very important question. I said, what test could I have taken that would have revealed that I had all these problems? And there was no answer. And I found out from my friend, next door neighbor, who's a retired IM doctor, internal medicine. He says, Jim, do you realize that almost 75% of the people who land up in the ER with a heart problem, they were just like you. No markers anywhere. And I did not know that the Widowmaker was hereditary. I knew my dad had heart problems, but I didn't know anything about they didn't know anything about the Widowmaker or anything back because he died in 78 from his problems. My brother had open heart surgery, had 2 bypasses, and he had the Widowmaker, but forgive me for being dumb, but I didn't know that thing was hereditary because the Widowmaker, it gets into the main muscle of the heart. And if it shuts off the blood flow, you think about that. If your heart quits pumping, how long are you going to live? That's why they call it the Widowmaker, and women can have it too, just like men. Go ahead, sir.
Is it a weak muscle? Like what is it? Is it a?
Oh, it's arteries. I mean, it raises right up in the arteries. Yeah, it comes right up into the arteries, and it creates blockages.
It creates blockages in these arteries.
Yes. It's 80 to 90. I had 80% on one side and 90% on the other.
Wow.
And,
Okay.
yeah.
So you didn't know this, and there's nothing was there any tests that you've learned? Because I know part of your mission now is to help people, like to really help people uncover this if they have it.
Sure. The best test I have found has been the AO scanner that Dr. Grant did on me, Dr. George Grant. That
Wow.
has been the most accurate. But most importantly, if you have heart problems in your life and there's history of heart problems, the main thing to do is start altering your diet to where you don't, you have a hard, healthy diet, and find something that works for you.
Yeah.
Like I didn't like salads, but you know what? With the way my wife makes salads with walnuts and apples and different things in there, make it palatable for you.
Yes.
Yeah, because find a way that works for you. And most importantly, don't live in fear. That is a critical, because fear will enslave you. And like I say, with Dr. Grant, he gave me the scan, and I would just, I kind of look at it like this. It was a blessing in disguise for me, because two things happened. Number one, I was allowed to fall down and skin my knee, but I didn't break my neck. So I give thanks for that. And secondly, I think I was given this mission so that I could be a blessing to others. And you got to take that very, very important, because what is your calling in life? And it's really important for all of us to find out what makes us happy, because if we love ourselves, we love others. And all the things in our life that do not serve us, love it enough to let it go. It could be a person, place, or thing.
Yeah.
Because you owe it to your health, your happiness, your existence,
True.
to love yourself and live in abundance. That's why we were created. We were also created to serve others, not ourselves. And I'm not going to talk about that, because it took me many years to learn that.
Yeah. But,
But
I want to highlight, do not live in fear.
that's right.
Do
That's
not
right.
live in fear.
Yeah.
And what did you say about living in abundance? I want to highlight that too, because you said a lot of great things.
Okay. Yeah, because when you love yourself, that's critical, because you're able to forgive yourself of things you've done, things you may have said, shortcomings in your life, even your faults. Okay. We all have faults. Love yourself enough to forgive yourself. And then you have the capacity to love others. And that's when you tap into the abundance of the world, because
Wow.
everything else is physical. Worry, fear, that's all physical. It's limited to planet Earth. And remember, you're not a body with a soul. You are a soul with a body.
Beautiful, Jim. Wow. We went deep here. This is really great. Really great. Love yourself enough to forgive yourself, and that
Yes.
taps into the abundance of life.
Yeah.
That's really powerful.
Mhm.
And as always, I love this. We talk about this. This is like in the recovery movement as well. Let go and let God.
Yes.
We hear that a lot. And yeah, let's highlight this. Yes, we are souls with bodies. We are souls.
Mhm.
We are
Yes.
spiritual, having a physical experience, not right. So
Mhm.
very, very, really powerful. So, was there any other insights, distinctions, aha moments, awakenings that happened during that process, or as you reflect back on it?
As I look back on it, I got to be honest with you.
Please.
I'm laying at home. Now, this is before I found out this is how life answers your questions when you get stuck in the mud. Okay. I'm laying over on the couch. I got an 8-inch incision in my chest. And of course, they just, put you back together and glue you shut. And I tell people that's because the Band-Aid truck didn't come over there and deliver Band-Aids that day. And when you turn over, you feel your ribs move. And that's kind of weird. Doesn't hurt, but it's kind of weird, because these things are not supposed to move. I was laying there, sitting there on the couch. Actually, I had my feet up and I'm drinking some water. And I'm thinking, why me? I mean, I've always tried to do things right. I quit drinking in 1981. I quit smoking in 75. And I don't, I'm not a bad eater. I don't eat a lot of bad stuff or anything. I don't eat any fast food. I don't do this. I don't do that. And I'm probably, just feeling so sorry for myself, which is a poor excuse for being a human and say that you got a life. But I said to myself, I'm in the same boat as some other guy's been puffing on a pack of cigarettes for 20 years. What's the difference? And then that's when the answer came to me through my neighbor, because I went over there to deliver some, homemade goodies, because he's a widower. And He says, "Hey, Jim, you realize that?" And I said, "Really? I didn't know that." And you can Google it. It's true, because medical doctors do not believe that. And I'll tell you why they don't believe it.
Wait, back up a minute. I missed that. Say that again, Jim. I want to make sure we capture this.
What part there?
You went over to your neighbors.
Neighbor?
What did your neighbor say?
He says, "Jim, a lot of people don't realize that 75% of the people who wind up in an ER are just like you. There's no markers, no problems, no previous heart problems, cholesterol, nothing." And so I started researching it. And there was a paper that came out in 2009, a study that was done by the University of California at Berkeley, that said, most patients who wind up with heart problems in an ER have shown no previous record of blood pressure or cholesterol levels. I'm going like, wow, why don't we know about that? And medical doctors will disagree with you because they never see the patient. You wind up in an ER with a heart condition, they're not going to call you a medical doctor. They're going to call the cardiologist. So just remember that. So if you're concerned about your heart, tell your medical doctor, "Hey, I want to see a cardiologist," and take it to the next level. And with like Dr. Grant's AO scanner, let that be an educational tool and say, "Hey, let's take a look at these markers here. Let's work on these things, because you're either green and in or you're red and out."
Yeah.
And that thing red flagged my heart, told me a couple of areas it was out. And
yeah. So I want to, so those of you who are wondering, what's this thing? Well, so it's Dr. Grant, and not related to
no.
Grant, has this incredible device that literally scans the body. And that's another conversation. When we go back on, we'll do the summit.
Yeah.
Doing the summit on February 20th, my birthday. We're going to have Jim and all the other authors back on, and we're going to talk more about this, but that's an amazing device. And Mandy's asking, I guess, is your neighbor in internal medicine, or just
Yes. He was my medical doctor till he retired. And
okay.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine.
Well, that's nice to have somebody like that next door.
Yeah. He tells me if I ever need any good drugs, come and see him. He has a warped sense of humor, and I really appreciate that. Good. He keeps his medical license alive. He says, if you ever need anything or something like that, you need a prescription filled or whatever, and it's on the weekend or whatever, just let me know. I'll take care of you. It's okay.
Yeah. So what I want to do now, Jim, is just ask our listeners if they have any questions. They can type it in.
Sure.
Give them some time to process what you're sharing. You shared a lot of not only great perspective on your story, but you've also shared some great insight and wisdom, and really kind of like pulled the curtain back on faith, and talk about faith, and we share things about faith. We might read the Bible, we might go to church, but you've had a living experience where you embodied faith.
Oh,
and
yes.
That's a beautiful, beautiful reflection, the calm you described, coming over and saying, either way, I'm going to go home, and all the great. So if you have a question for Jim, please share. And while you're reflecting on the question, I want Jim to just share a little bit about, his mission, what he's working on today, and what he's passionate about in the future here.
My real passion, and it's my calling in life, is for everything that I do, how can I be a blessing to others? That is priority one. And if you have that attitude and you look without, how can I be a blessing to others? What will happen? The abundance of the universe, the love and all, will lead you in that direction. And I tell people, don't make decisions. Because don't make decisions, because you put your decision, you build a mental box. You've already got the finished result in your mind, and you're going to work at that. And sometimes you're going to push a chain uphill. You're going to try to make everything fit inside that, decision box. Whereas if you make options, it leaves you more flexible. It allows you to be less stressful. And that's one thing it took me a long time to learn, because when I own my manufacturing business, I know what it's like to get up early, work late, work on weekends, all for the same amount of money, and become a slave to my business. And I thought I was happy. Think about that. that is the kind of trap that you can get into, because I made a decision. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the other. And you can get caught up in that trap, and it builds a lot of stress on you.
I love this. I want to highlight this because I want to clarify what you're saying in that it's not that you're not, of course you make decisions every day, but I think what I'm hearing you say is when you lock into an outcome or an expectation
Right.
about what you're going to do and you're so fixed on it.
Right.
Right. Now, if you're Tom Brady and you're going to win the Super Bowl, that's one thing. I get it.
Yeah.
Living life, what you're saying is that can be very constricting and stressful.
Yes.
Right. Is that what you're saying? So what you're saying is create flexibility and options. Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly. Because we don't know what tomorrow's going to hold. We got no control over that.
Thank you.
So if you got a 90-day commitment or 6 months down the road and you got this end result there, there's going to be things that happen above and beyond your ability and your power. So therefore, if you make options, be true to your school, keep on track, right? But don't be so rigid in your thinking that you're inflexible to see another door that might open that's a brighter way for you. That's what I'm saying.
That's a cowbell moment, my friend. That is, I mean, how many times, and I think when I look at my early journey, we're fixated on the outcome. It's like you want to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And you become so stressed and rigid. If you're faithful, and this is what we talked about earlier, letting go and letting God, what God or the universe has for you could be so much greater and surpass anything that you could imagine. Like your noodle can't get there. And I think we limit ourselves. Jim. And I'm so glad that this came up on the show today. And I know it's going to bless somebody. Let me say hello to Jose. Jose, thanks for joining, brother. Appreciate you being here. And again, we want to thank everybody who's listening on Apple TV, Amazon, Roku, the World Wide Web. We're so glad you joined us and hear Jim's story today. Jim, back to you, because I know I said a lot. I'm all fired up over here, so I know you're thinking something.
Well, before the show, ladies and gentlemen, Austin and I visited, and we run all shows the same. You allow the energy to be created because the vibration of the energy is more powerful and, it's more smarter than I am. I'll put it like that so I don't offend anybody, because the universe knows, and the love and abundance of the universe, which comes from the Señor in the sky, it knows there might be one person out there that needs to hear a comment, and it's going to guide you. Because if you make scripts and you want to sit up there and like a human parrot, you're going to be boring people to death.
Yes. That's why we got the cowbell. We got the light. We got a light bulb moment. We got the hourglass. Look at that. It's running. See that? We remind ourselves to be present. So we're hitting all the bells and whistles today, Jim. I appreciate you doing. Before we get, I'm going to bring our spokesperson on here, Mandy. She's going to do a beautiful recap for us.
Okay.
But before we do that, I want to make sure we hit two things.
Okay.
One, your passion now to help people find out about their health and their heart.
Right.
So I want to, if you would just speak on that before we bring Mandy on.
Oh, yes, because I'm starting a new magazine too, but I'm doing an article on men over 50. And it's about, taking charge of your life. And I share with them my experience, and to enable them to understand that you may have health issues, but don't let health issues own you. Set yourself free and look for ways to be a blessing to others, because that is the turning point right there. I could have sat on that couch when I said earlier, feeling sorry for myself. And after Ken, my next door neighbor, told me about that, I said, wow, that's pretty interesting, 75%. And I could complain about it from here to the end of the time. What good would that do? But if I said, wow, that's really amazing. And I look back and I looked at it from a different perspective. I says, I went through this. And I went through everything for a purpose and a reason. Everything you go through in life is for a purpose and a reason. And it's not to feel sorry for yourself, but at least be honest enough with yourself and love yourself to forgive yourself, because nobody's perfect, right? And that's the message I want to share, because If I can help one person overcome an obstacle in life, I've been overpaid in life, ladies and gentlemen.
Jim, you already have. I want to say you already have, with all your work, with your radio program, all the downloads, 6 million downloads. You got your show, you're doing great things. And before we bring Mandy on, how can somebody connect with you? Like if you wanted them to connect with you now.
A very easy way to connect with me is through the TV station. It's called Inspiration at e360tv.com. e360tv.com. That's the easy way to remember.
Inspiration at e360tv.com. All right, I'm going to get that saddled up here, and I'm going to see if Mandy's ready to join us. Mandy, are you ready to join us? All right, so Mandy's going to come on. Going to do a beautiful recap.
There she is.
Hello again. Hello again. Jim, that was just, gosh, I feel kindred spirits with you, my friend. So much in common, so much in common. So I'm just going to get straight into your incredibly powerful story. I love that you began simply, ended up with 6,000 downloads, falling into a TV station where you were able to create the energy. And your show, you began with telling us about your show, which is Messages of Inspirational Stories on E360 TV. But then we got into your story where on October the 29th, after decades of feeling healthy, feeling like you were inspiring people, you literally dropped. Even though your doctor said that at 55 you had, 55 outwardly, you had inwardly the health of a 40-year-old. But that night you dropped on October the 29th, you went down with chest pains and you had pains in your arms, arrived at the hospital with a BP of 190 over 111, with multiple blockages, needing 4 bypass surgeries. And yet, when you went to have the surgery and it was time to be wheeled into that OR, you felt this peace, this calm, love, and safety being encapsulated in your faith going into that surgery. I've got goosebumps.
That is so powerful.
And the person that helped you to reach that point, because all the tests were showing that there's basically nothing wrong with you, they couldn't understand it, was Dr. Grant, because Dr. George Grant, because with his AO scanner, he red flagged your heart. So you had been migrating along, feeling safe, you thought your safety net was whole, but the safety net had a hole in it that night on the 29th when you fell. But you decided, I've survived NAM, the Agent Orange, you were in the army for, I think it was 35 years, and you were going to survive this. And what you came out with after that, great advice, something I live by myself, every day as a gift. Say thank you for the gift of life every morning you wake up. Amen to that too. So in that OR, you had the assurance of your faith. God was in your mind and you said, let go and let God. And you handed it over to him. That feeling, I thought was magic. That feeling of faith never gets old. It never gets old. I've got goosebumps again and I'm fighting the tears. Heart attacks are a killer. My own family is riddled with it. You wouldn't believe it. But you got to the hospital quickly, which was enabled them to give you the nitro and all the other meds that you need. So that saved you having muscle damaged once you got over the surgery. So going back to how this was all detected, like we said, no tests could have revealed the problem. But your doctor, which we now know is also your neighbor at one point, explained that 75% of people that land in the ER with heart issues have no signs, but the widowmaker is hereditary. And that's where I get all my health problems from. My father's family, riddled with heart attacks, strokes, everything. So I know this firsthand. And what it does is it shuts the blood flow off. When the blockages happen in the arteries, it shuts the blood flow off to the heart. And when you don't get blood flow from the heart to the brain, there's no oxygen and you are dead in a matter of minutes. I know this. I've lost so many people to this in my family. And your arteries were 80% on one side
Yes,
and
ma'am.
90% blocked on the other. You were a walking dead person. I've had that said to me. Goosebumps, goosebumps. But again, thank God for Dr. George Grant, who was able to red flag your heart. You went into changing your diet and doing things that would enhance your health and maintain it even after your heart surgery. Now then, you went through a few things here that I thought were key. Do not live in fear. Fear enslaves you. Do not live in fear. I live by that. You felt that you'd fallen down, but you didn't break because you wanted to become a blessing to others. And you spoke as I teach. Love yourself first. Love yourself first so that you can love others. Whether it's a person, a place, or a thing that's held you back, let it go. Forgive yourself. Let go and let God. When we forgive ourselves and love ourselves first, God extends grace to us, and then we can become a blessing to other people. So that gives us the capacity to love others and tap into that abundance of life. You talked about when being stuck in life's mud, you're lying there on the couch with an 8-inch incision in the chest, moving felt weird. Yes, I know. And potentially thinking, why me? I was healthy, but why me? But after reminiscing with your doctor again, and this 75% thing on the widowmaker, that it's hereditary, you had no control. It's been beyond my control. First thing, when you've got that heart attack pains and you end up in the ER, don't waste time asking for a cardiologist, because the cardiologist gets straight to the problem. So you became this living the experience that embodies your faith. And I think this is absolutely key. It's what we hold on to. It's our anchor. It's our hope. It's our faith that is assured because we've got it. More key points. How can I be a blessing to others? And again, it's love and abundance of the universe that will lead us to be a blessing to others. When we first love ourselves, then we can love and help others. And I liked this. Don't live in a decision box. Don't be rigid in it's got to go this way or that way, black and white. There is no black and white. Be flexible and create options. And that's what I love about Austin's show and everything he does with Flashpoint. We always create options. Don't lock into a fixed outcome, because we don't know what tomorrow will bring. We don't even know what the second in front of us is going to bring. So be open to the options right now, because things can happen beyond our control. Again, don't be rigid in our thinking, to be inflexible and not see another door. Do not be rigid in the way you think, in inflexibility, and not be able to see another door that will open. And this is, I love this because I work from a place of God energy. This is my ultimate passion and love to share with people. Allow vibrational energy to work its power. It knows who needs our message. And when we are in complete alignment with God energy, anything is possible. Everything is possible. And our message can be given out. So again, something else I live by. I felt like you were echoing the words in my head. I don't let health issues own me. I set myself free, and now I help others. When somebody says to you, multiple doctors say to you, you are the walking dead, and I say, no, I am not, because I will not allow these health issues to own me. I set myself free. You did that. You've done that. You are walking, living proof of this experience. Everything happens for a reason. Forgive yourself, then we can help others. And that's about where I got to with the summary. My friend, God bless you so much. You are an incredible example to the human race. And we are blessed and honored that your life was spared to share the love, passion, and messages that you do with this world. God bless you richly going forward. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Very kind words. I mean, goodness. I don't feel that honored, because in life, when things happen to you, it's a calling for you to be able to step up and answer the call. That's what it's about.
Yes.
And I tell people sometimes I had to have a heart attack for it to get my attention. But always have a sense of humor. Remember that laughter is
Yep.
good for you. Laughter is some of the best medicine you can have. It don't cost anything either, you know. If you
That's
learn to
right.
laugh at yourself, if you're like me, you'll never be without a good laugh.
We should all get together.
Look in the mirror, and you have plenty of content.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredibly powerful. And you know, when you look at the universe and nature and those mountains behind you, and then you look at, I love to always say this, the birth of baby lambs and baby goats. Our Creator has an incredible sense of humor. He didn't have to give that to us, right?
Yeah.
But he does. And if we can see the humor in nature and breathe that in as well, and laugh at life,
Yeah.
that is what brings us power.
Oh yeah. It really is, because once you embrace life, and like I tell people, if you love yourself and forgive yourself, guess what? You've just set yourself free.
Freedom! Woo!
I mean, you know, it's true. I've seen that in my life.
Cowbells.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cowbell, that's
Yes.
light bulb, whatever
and
other tricks.
This has been a long journey for me. I wouldn't, you know, this has been years. I mean, decades, because in the 70s, I drank pretty much after I came back from Nam a lot. And I went to a meeting one time, and there's a message in this. This guy was talking. He was, you know, had tattoos, had long hair, and he was a Vietnam veteran. And I take one look at him and I'm thinking, what am I doing here? But then he said something that I'll never forget. He says, you got to forgive yourself, because what you did over there was not an act of hatred. It was an act of survival.
Yeah.
And that just hit me, because it was what I needed to hear at that time. So as you travel down the pathway of life, people that come into your life, they come there for a reason. And when they come there for a reason, they may have that one tidbit that could help you get out of the rut of life and get on to the paved road of life and go forward. Because everybody needs a helping hand, folks. Everybody needs a helping hand. We all need love. We're social creatures. Just like we need oxygen, you know.
Yeah. I think
I wanted to share that with
Sorry,
you.
go
ahead.
I think you hit. Sorry, go on, Austin.
No, I was just going to say, I feel like the other message here, what you just shared validates what you shared earlier, in that you got a message from an unexpected place.
Oh, yeah.
A message like that was never going to come from a guy like that. And that's exactly what you needed to hear in that moment. And I think sometimes these people act, God works through everyone, you know, when we're in alignment, like you're saying, when we get our egos out of the way. And one thing I want to share, Mandy.
Yeah, I think it's also important to note what else that gentleman said to you. He said, consider it an act of survival, not hatred. You didn't go into that war with hatred in your heart. You went with service to help and free people. And what you did, and what every person that's come back from war, and I know from my own relatives the same story, you are living in survival mode because you are put in a situation that no human being should ever have to be put in. But removing the hatred from our hearts is absolutely key, because hatred carries a terrible, terrible connotation with it. And it doesn't affect the person that you're extending the hatred towards, or the event, whatever it was. It sits in your soul and festers like poison, and maggots eating away at it to kill you. So release the hatred.
Yeah, it's a self and a soul destroyer. And, you know, it doesn't hurt anybody else except you.
No, that's right. That's right.
It's a cancer is what it is in your
It
body.
is.
I mean, hatred, and it consumes you violently like a fire. That's the thing that I've seen in people's lives. Man.
And once you've let that go, the chains just fall off. And
Oh,
it
yeah.
doesn't matter then what anybody else says or does for the rest of your life. And
That's right.
I know this firsthand. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter what anybody else says or does for the rest of your life. You are free in here. You are
Mhm.
free in here. And you know that you've got the highest power in the universe, vibrational energy working through you to
Oh,
serve
yeah.
and help others. Amen.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So this has been an incredible show. And by the way,
Whew.
this is unscripted. I mean, I can't sit here and whatever. I can't go, oh, this is how it's going to go. And Jim's going to say,
No.
this is why we trust that. And I trust that what we're talking about right now, someone is going to hear this and it's going to,
Someone will. There are many that will hear this.
something's going to open up. Someone's going to open,
Yeah.
they're going to open up a little bit, just to let a little bit of light in, and
Mhm.
maybe they're going to forgive. Maybe
Oh,
they're
yeah. Oh,
accept,
yeah.
Oh,
Please
it's
do.
key.
because that is liberation. I mean, our mantra
Mhm.
here, and I go around these messages and think about marketing and all this stuff, but I always come back to I'm free,
Mhm.
I'm
present,
present, and I'm moving forward.
and
Yeah.
we everything we can to embody that message.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
forgiveness is
It's key.
liberation. It's I'm free. You're not
Absolutely.
anymore. And so we're grateful for this time with you, the audience. And final thoughts as we close out.
Just another quick thought there, and it's not just oh well, I'll get a bit here and I'll get a bit there and I'll do this and I'll do that. It's that word you used, Austin, and Jim, you used it too. And there were two. One was encapsulate and the other was embody. You
Mhm.
have to literally enshroud your whole mind, body, and soul
Yes,
in the
ma'am.
grace of God to be able to
Yes, ma'am.
impact other people in the way that
Yeah.
He wants you to be used. And
Mhm.
open the door, create the options, and allow God to flow through you and
Mhm.
help you to reach the people with your message. And sometimes we don't even know who they are. But
Mhm.
believe me, He's used us. And there are
Oh,
people
yeah.
out there that will benefit. Again, thank you. And thank you, Austin, for hosting the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jim,
Thank you.
final thoughts, Jim, before we go into our closing sequence here. Anything else you want to share?
Oh, Jesus, just, be true to yourself. Be honest with yourself. You're going to make mistakes. So what? That's like I tell people,
Okay.
if you're going to market something and you got something to offer someone, ask yourself, so what? So what values they give to someone? So what does this serve others? How does this serve others? How can you be a blessing to others? Ask yourself those questions, because that takes the ego out of the way. And if you got an ego, go to eBay, put it on sale, stay there until you get your money's worth.
Come on.
I don't know if anybody's going to want it. So
I don't know why I said that. It just kind of came out,
I love it. So anyway, I want to encourage everybody to connect with Jim. The email is there. We are going to be doing a summit, because let me share with you. Jim is an author in the book. I'm going to drop everybody out here for a moment. We have a book coming out, and it's called Your Health Turnaround Story. So let me highlight the cover here real quick. So that book will be coming out and in the next upcoming weeks, and we are going to do a summit on February 20th. Jim, I trust you're going to be back for that.
Yes, sir.
Yes, can't wait. That is so exciting.
And that is going to be distributed. So that summit will go out to all the channels, the Apple,
Yep.
all the things. So there'll be a lot of light on it. We're going to be kicking that book off. Very, very exciting. And we're just excited to bring it. I'm excited, really humbled to share.
Yeah.
Jim, you wanted to say something else there?
One very important about the authors. I was on the first one, and the thing that just resonated to me was that the authors were there. They were not there to tell you what you need. They were there to share information about what you want in your life.
Yes.
That is the secret,
Yeah.
Yes.
And Mama Mo is on here. She's
Hi,
on.
Monique.
She's going to be as well part of the summit. She's in the book. We're wrapping up the book now. I have a surprise chapter that I just wrote. I wasn't planning on that, but I'm going to be putting a chapter in there as well.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah. So we're excited. We want to reach more people. with a message during this time. Jim's show is on 5 days a week. I'm going to have some exciting news about my show. We're going to be on up to 2 days a week. We have some very exciting things coming. So we are excited. We just want to reach
Woo!
you.
Stay present.
Yes.
Move
Yes.
forward.
So that's what we have. We're going to end a couple minutes early today, and just want to encourage everybody to, if you have a question, you're free to type in the chat. If you have a question for Jim, send him an email. Do whatever you got to do. We want you in our world. And if you are on the TV side of things, simply Google, Flashpoint or any of the names, and you'll find us. And we would love to connect with you so you can engage with us even more if this feels right.
Absolutely.
So
Can't urge people enough to get in touch with this platform and Jim's platform. We have to connect, my friend. But the summit that's coming up, we've already done one of these because I was a co-author in the last one. It is so much fun and so exciting and powerful.
Yep.
Good times coming. Beautiful.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We're going to say goodbye. We send you off. Have a great weekend, and we'll be back next week.
Thanks, everyone. Love and hugs. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.